Welcome back to the Last Word Podcast. Me, Josh,
I'm Nick.
and the mouse is still there.
Whatever.
All right.
We're good.
Hey, welcome back to the Last Word Podcast. It's me, Josh,
I'm Nick.
and today we continue our series of all-time teams. We're on the NFC North now.
And we're gonna start with the Chicago Bears. Take it away.
Oh boy. Where do I start? I guess with the most controversial pick of this Bears offense, Caleb Williams. I mean, wow, what a storied history the Bears have. We have Jay Cutler, Sid Luckman,
Jim McMahon.
None of them had 4,000 yards. I really think our acrylic assassin Caleb Williams might be the one. I mean, I think if you get 4,000 yards on any Bears team, I think he deserved to be their all-time quarterback. I think he might do it. Hopefully, if it was still Justin Fields, I probably would have put Jay Cutler. But I gotta give the nod to Caleb Williams here. I mean, he's probably done more than any Bears quarterback has done since Jim McMahon.
Probably more than Jim McMahon, honestly.
Maybe, yeah. Walter Payton at running back. This is an obvious choice. I mean, before Emmitt Smith, you had Walter Payton. He set an unbreakable record, quote unquote unbreakable record, 1,600 yards back in the 70s and 80s. And that he's still second in all-time rushing yards because Emmitt Smith made a new unbreakable record with 1,800, which is 18,000. I'm sorry, which is crazy. Walter Payton, probably one of the greatest running backs of all time, was the main inspiration for Barry and Emmitt Smith. He's an obvious choice for this list. And then we got his tight end Mike Dick. Has 1,000 yards in his rookie season. One of, I think, the only one in NFL history with 1,000 yards as a rookie for a tight end, which is kind of crazy considering he did that all the way back in the 70s and 80s. And it's not been broken since. But he was probably the best tight end of his day. Probably the best tight end of all time until people like Tony Gonzalez until they started making freaks play tight end like Tony Gonzalez and Jimmy Graham and then Travis Kelce. Back then he was the greatest. Oh boy, these receivers. I gotta talk about them. Alshon Jeffrey's their best receiver of all time. He has made one Pro Bowl with them. He has 5,000 career receiving yards with the Bears. Next to him, we have Johnny Morris. He had 5,000 career receiving yards with the Bears. Harlan Hill had 5,000 career receiving yards with the Bears. Those guys are top three. All three of them are the top three in receiving yards for the Bears. I mean, let's give it up for them. Woo, that's Bears fans. Hopefully Caleb Williams gives y'all maybe one guy that'll beat out Alshon Jeffrey one of these days. And then I just want to mention Jimbo Covert because his name's Jimbo. That's a kind of cool name. He's a Hall of Famer too. Played in the 80s for the Bears. Defense, you got the better end of this stick. Come on, go ahead.
Dude, I have to say, by far the worst receiving core of any team in our all-time list. I have to say, I don't think anyone's gonna beat that. All right, Bears defense. Let's start with the shitters at safety. Gary Fenchick with 38 interceptions, 1 first-team All-Pro, 2 Pro Bowlers. He was part of that 80s run. He was just a solid safety. He was pretty good. Richie Petitbon, I think that's how you say his name. He played with, what's his name? Butkus in the 60s Bears. 1-time first-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. Again, was just a solid safety. But that's really as bad as this defense gets, because once you get to the linebacker core, it starts to get crazy. I mean, you have 5 combined Defensive Player of the Years at this linebacker core. Let's start with Mike Singletary, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 10 straight Pro Bowls, was the red dot for those 80s Bears, and especially that dominant 85 Bears run where I think they only lost 1 game. Went 18-1 or something. No, 17-1, I think it was at the time. Just a crazy career. Jumping back to the 60s, Butkus was essentially the Singletary of that era. Uh, Again, 2 Defensive Player of the Years, 8-time Pro Bowler, a member of the 60s and 70s All-Decade team. Was really the pioneer of the scary middle linebacker. And then Brian Urlacher, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time Pro Bowler, all-decade player. Probably the scariest linebacking corps probably that we've had. Moving to corner, Peanut Tillman, who is the only player in NFL history to have 30 interceptions and 40 forced fumbles. 1-time first team All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler. Was a very good corner in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Moving to the other side, we got Donald Wolford, 36 interceptions, 1-time Pro Bowler. Yeah, not much to say about him. He was just okay. Moving to the D-line, this D-line is very scary. Richard Dent, 138 sacks, was the Super Bowl MVP during that 85 run. 4-time Pro Bowler. Right next to him was Steve McMichael with 2 Pro Bowls, 93 sacks. And then next to him, you had Dan Hampton, who was this surprised me. He was a 4-time first team All-Pro, 4 Pro Bowlers. All of these guys are Hall of Famers. And then to round it out, you got Doug Atkins, who at 6'8", that, mind you, at the time, probably the average height of an American was like 5'6" or 5'5" or something. This guy was 6'8" on the edge and pretty much unblockable in that era. 4-time first team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, and a member of the All-Decade 60s team. All right. The Detroit Lions have a pretty good, I'd say a very respectable offense. Let's start off with, I'd say, my favorite player of all time, Barry Sanders. In my opinion, is the best running back of all time. 10-time Pro Bowler, 6-time first team All-Pro. One of 2 running backs to get 2,000 yards in a 14-game span, which is just absolutely ridiculous. 15,000 yards in 10 years. Projected, if he would have played 15 years, that would have easily put him over 20,000 rushing yards, easily making him the all-time leading rusher. Then we got Matt Stafford, who was a very respectable quarterback with the Lions. Eventually, got his first team All-Pro, got his Super Bowl with the Rams, but was still a very, very good player with the Lions. 3-time Pro Bowl, 1-time first team All-Pro, and is the all-time leader in Lions passing yards, passing touchdowns, all that stuff. Moving on to tight end, we have Charlie Sanders, 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All-Pro, member of the All-Decade 70s team. Never heard of him, but 3-time first team All-Pro, that's pretty good. So, good job, Charlie. And then at receiver, we have Megatron, or also known as Calvin Johnson, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All-Pro, just shy of 12,000 receiving yards in 9 seasons, was just a receiving yard machine, 83 touchdowns. And then opposite to him, you have Herman Moore, who I would call basically like the Walmart version of Megatron. Was 6'4" in his own right, high receiving yard guy, made his fair share of Pro Bowls with 4, 3-time first team All-Pro, very productive in his era. And then for third receiver, we chose Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is only 26, and he already has 4 Pro Bowls, 2 first team All-Pros, so this is more of a projection. He probably will get more by the time his career is over, and he might pass Herman Moore. I don't know if he'll pass Megatron, but yeah, he's going to be one of the all-time greats when it's all said and done. Is also an amazing blocker in his own right.
Onto this defense. Spoiler, most of this defense is from the 50s and 60s. Won the Lions. Last time the Lions were good. Let's start with Dick Lane. Dick Lane and Dick LeBeau. 2 dicks on the on the edges of this defense. They played together in the 60s. Dick Lane, if you play Madden, you would know that he's the single season interceptions leader. They don't talk about that much anymore. I don't know why they don't really mention Dick Lane's interception record. I guess no one really comes close. Well, anyways, yeah, 14 interceptions in the season, 70 picks all time in his career, 7 Pro Bowlers, and then Dick LeBeau, 60 picks. But more importantly, probably one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time when he was with the Steelers later on in his career. And then we have Lem Barney, came right after those two. 7-time Pro Bowler, played in the 70s. And then let's get to Joe Schmidt, 10-time Pro Bowler, 8-time 8-time All-Pro, and part of that 50s Lions teams, if you remember those. Won a couple NFL championships before the Super Bowl came around, and then they became shit ever since. Jack Campbell recently made a Pro Bowl, All-Pro, better than any other linebacker after Joe Schmidt did. So, might be the next Joe Schmidt. 50, 60, 70 years removed. Jack Christensen and Yale Larry. Now, we said they had 2 dicks in the 60s. In the 50s, they had 2 great safeties. Jack Christensen, 6-time All-Pro. I guess they hated him. It was probably like a Rodney Harrison situation or something back then. I really never watched the tape. And part of those NFL championship teams. And then Yale Larry had 60 picks. It was also played in the 50s. Now down to this defensive line. There's a guy that everyone really hates, Ndamukong Suh. We have Calais Campbell, one of the nicest players in NFL history. And Ndamukong Suh, just probably one of the meanest players in NFL history. I mean,
Yeah.
just a very dirty player, but I can't lie, his time with the Lions was special. He was a very good player, very great player with the Lions. Probably will be a Hall of Famer one of these years. Did win a Super Bowl with the Bucs later on in his career too. Alex Karras played in the 60s and got 100 sacks as a defensive tackle. He was it said that he was very inspired by Bobby Lane's ability to play hungover after his late night benders that were legendary back then. Aiden Hutchinson. You see Robert Porcher is the other name on this list, so you could tell why Aiden Hutchinson's already on this list. I mean, I don't think they've ever had a pass rush. I mean, their next best guy was probably Ziggy Ansah. You guys remember Ziggy Ansah? That's ball knowledge right there.
Yeah.
Or
Trey Flowers.
Or Romeo Aquara. You guys remember those guys?
This is deep ball knowledge.
Aiden Hutchinson, though, yeah, you acquire this ball knowledge by something unmedicated and it's unmedicated.
That's us, by the way.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson, though, is already around 40 sacks. Great pressure guy. He's gonna be there for a long time. Loves playing for the Lions. He just gets the culture, man. And then Robert Porcher had 95 sacks in the 90s. He's the all-time sack leader for the Lions. Alex Karras had 100, but that's not official because that was back then where they didn't care about stats. On to the Vikings. Let's talk about Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton was like Lamar Jackson, but white, and he played in the 80s. Yeah, he was really good. He was a great dual threat quarterback. He played a long time with the Vikings before going to the Giants, and I guess he was good there for a few years before going back to the Vikings and playing a lot longer there. Was the all-time passing yards leader also for a while until Dan Marino surpassed him. I think of Adrian Pearson, who, if you're in the North, you'd say child abuse. If you're in the South, you'd say that's just good parenting. Had 2,000 rushing yards. Was on pace to break Eric Dickerson's record, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Had one of the greatest seasons after tearing his ACL and won NFL MVP. Probably the last non-quarterback to win MVP, I think. Yeah.
Definitely.
Probably one of those dominant running backs I think we've ever had a privilege of getting to watch. He's probably a top 5 running back all time. He's going to be a Hall of Famer soon. Played a long time in the NFL, and his time with the Vikings is very special. And then some other guys whose times with the Vikings are very special. Randy Moss. If you ask anyone who got to watch Randy Moss play, they'll describe him as, like a freak. He was a freak of nature. He was 6'3". He was skinny. He was lanky. He was lengthy. He was fast. He could jump. Megatron. If we never got Megatron, Randy Moss would be the biggest freak of nature to ever play the wide receiver position. And he racked up a lot of yards with the Vikings, 9,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in his time before going on to the Raiders and Patriots and doing what he did with the Patriots. And then Chris Carter, on the other hand, was cut by the Eagles and went to the Vikings and really stayed there his whole career. And got 13,000 career receiving yards, also Hall of Famer, one of the best receivers all time as well. And then behind them is Justin Jefferson, who had one of the greatest rookie seasons for a receiver since Randy Moss, and is right behind Randy Moss actually in receiving yards for the Vikings all time. It's probably going to pass him and probably going to pass Chris Carter eventually all time on this Vikings receiving yards list. And he's already one of the, I'd say he's a Hall of Famer. You probably don't say it yet. I'd say he's a Hall of Famer already.
Who, Jefferson?
Jefferson, yeah.
I'd say not first ballot, but I think
he'd be like a Sterling Sharp situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jefferson probably best receiver in the NFL of our time. And then we got Steve Jordan is their all-time receiving yards leader for tight ends and was a 6-time Pro Bowler in the 80s. And a Randall McDaniel, probably one of the best guards of all time, also there casually. That's their offense. Actually, not a bad offense. Probably one of the best receiving corps we've seen.
Definitely.
Take it away,
dude. You didn't mention the guy with the funny name, Randall McDaniel?
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I really thought it was gonna be Kyle Rudolph at tight end.
Oh yeah, it was. 6-time Pro Bowl. That was kind of crazy.
It's crazy. All right, Vikings defense. We're gonna start with probably statistically the greatest safety ever, with Paul Krause, 81 interceptions, all-time leader, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, part of the Purple People Eaters. I'm just gonna let you know which one of these players were part of the Purple People Eaters, because there was a lot of them. Harrison Smith, who some people are saying that he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. I get he had a lengthy career, but 6-time Pro Bowl, 1-time first team All Pro. Don't get me wrong, he's a very good safety, especially in his prime. He was a very good safety, but first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm not sure, but still a very good safety. Moving down to very, very mid linebacker room, we got Matt Blair, 6-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first team All Pro, part of the Purple People Eaters. Alongside him, Eric Kendricks, who is a 1-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first team All Pro. Not much depth at this position for the Vikings, it would seem. Moving down to the defensive line, we have Carl Eller, who apparently I've never heard of, but he's a Hall of Famer, and he's the all-time Vikings leader in sacks. Also a Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, Purple People Eaters. Jim Marshall, 2-time Pro Bowler, started 282 games straight starting with the Vikings, which I don't know if y'all understand how impressive that is, but he's a defensive lineman starting that many games consecutively. This isn't a quarterback that constantly gets protected by offensive linemen and the rules of the game. This is a guy who's constantly getting beat up every single game. 282 straight. You got to put him on there. 130 sacks. Purple People Eaters. Alan Page, who was the first defensive NFL MVP, and we've only had 2 defensive NFL MVPs. I put WTF next to this stat. He blocked 28 kicks in his career, which I don't know. I find that really crazy. 173 sacks, I'd say probably was the leader of the Purple People Eaters. John Randall, 6-time first team All Pro, 9 consecutive seasons with 10 plus sacks, one of the greatest undrafted players of all time, if not the greatest. Now, moving on to the secondary, we have a pretty weak corner room. We got Antoine Winfield, 3-time Pro Bowler, shutdown corner. I mean, these guys weren't bad. They were shutdown corners, but, not big stat guys. Next to him, Xavier Rhodes, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first team All Pro, shutdown corner in his own right. And then Bobby Bryant, who played with Purple People Eaters, 51 interceptions, and had a 14-year career with the Vikings. So he's very, very good. On to the Packers. Who should we start off with here? Let's start off with Aaron Rodgers, who, man, I mean, I used to really think he was the greatest quarterback of all time. In my opinion, he's the best thrower of the ball of all time, but I mean, I think Brady ran away with it, I think, but still legendary in his own right. 4-time MVP, 3-time first team All Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler. Loves to take drugs, so good on him. Moving on to tight end, we have Paul Kaufman, a renowned Packers player, 3-time Pro Bowler, and I have here that he was a decent tight end in the 80s. So, good job, Paul Kaufman. Sterling Sharp, or sorry, no. Let's start with Amon Green. This was a very tough choice because there was many running backs that we could have gone with here. Could have gone with Eddie Lacy, the first 280-pound running back ever. That guy, Aaron Jones, who, my God, wow. Or we had respecter of women, Josh Jacobs. So, we definitely had a lot of options here. Ended up going with Amon Green. He is the all-time rushing leader for the Packers, made 4 Pro Bowls. So, all right, Sterling Sharp, 3-time first team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. Really had a what-if career, played only 7 seasons and almost got up to 10,000 receiving yards, which is crazy. Devontae Adams, 3-time first team All-Pro, 6 straight Pro Bowls, 2-time touchdowns leader. Right now in his career, if you're only recently watching him, he kind of looks like a touchdown merchant, but in the early 2020s and late 2010s, I mean, he was a monster there for Aaron Rodgers. And then Don Hudson, who I have here as a 2-time MVP and a 4-time All-Star. That's what they used to call them, All-Stars. And a member of the 30s All-Decade Team, NFL 100 player.
This is another defense that's really old. This will start off the Herb Adderley was 4-time All-Pro and part of those 60s Super Bowl teams. And on the other side of him is Charles Woodson. He won Defensive Player of the Year with the Packers and was really one of the best corners. I feel like his better years were with the Packers when he was actually playing and was winning games. Probably got robbed for a tuck rule or whatever. And then we have Ty Dolla $ign, Jair Alexander, won 4-time Pro Bowler in the late 2010s, early 2020s, and was actually really good shutdown corner until he just vanished off the face of the earth. I mean, he got injuries and just didn't want to play for the Eagles after that. And here, let me get to Dave Robinson at linebacker. He was also part of those 60 Super Bowl teams and was decent, but back then that was your best. That was the best. It was decent. Ray Nitschke was a 60s Super Bowl winner too. It was part of the he's NFL 100 team too. He was decent, linebacker.
He's a very good linebacker.
I don't know. There wasn't really much. accolades are really just Super Bowls. Um,
NFL 100 player.
Back down to Willie Davis. Was a 5-time All-Pro, 60 Super Bowl team. I think these guys are the real heroes of those 60 teams. The other guys are really just sometime All-Pros. Willie Davis, 5-time All-Pro, 60 Super Bowl teams. And then Henry Jordan right alongside him, also a 5-time All-Pro and 60 Super Bowl teams. And then in the big Kenny Clark, 3-time Pro Bowler in the late 2010s. Was probably one of the best defensive tackles in that time frame, especially a notes tackle. Unfortunately, at a time when the position wasn't as big of a premium. Probably if he played in the 90s, early 2000s, I mean, we probably would be looking at him a lot differently than we do look at him now. He's still a very great defensive tackle. And then Reggie White, no need for introduction. The Minister of Defense, 198 career sacks. I think he's definitely better than Bruce Smith all time, considering he did play for his first few years in the AFL or whatever, or XFL or whatever. He played in a different league his first few years, which took some years off his career. And I think in those first 2 years in the NFL, he probably would have at least gotten 2 sacks in 2 years. I don't know. And up to the top, the safeties, we got Leroy Butler, was a big part of those 90s Packers Super Bowl teams. Well, just the one Super Bowl team. He was a big part of it, though. And 4-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro. And then Darren Sharper, 60 interceptions in the modern era is pretty good, even though he's a horrible person. I can't really talk about this. Can't really talk about what he did on YouTube, but rest in peace, Darren Sharper. But you are the best Packers safety, sadly. That's all we got. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. We'll probably will be making maybe a player breakdown, maybe some more all-time teams here in the future. But till then, y'all have a good day.
See ya.